South Korea has made a huge impact on Western culture recently. Movies like Parasite, TV shows like Squid Games, and of course K-pop. It's got a huge fan base, very dedicated fan base. And Nike, they've done collaborations with K-pop stars like G-Dragon before. And now Nike is paying respect to South Korea and its influence on streetwear culture, sneaker culture with the Nike Air Max 1. Nike Air Max 1 86, Big Bubble, World Make, Korea. Now, World Make is a series of sneakers by Nike that is supposed to pay respect to different parts of the world. So Japan, they got the Air Jordan 1 Low World Make Japan. I believe there's a Nike Cortez France World Make as well. And South Korea, they're getting this shoe. Now, we all know when it comes to like streetwear and sneaker culture in Asia, Japan is probably and historically being the leader in that region. But South Korea, especially in recent years, they're definitely making a huge impact. And as someone that's originally from Taiwan, we gotta step our game up. We gotta get like an Air Jordan 1 Taiwan exclusive, World Make Taiwan. We had the Air Force 1 Taiwan like in 2007. Those are like one of my grails, but recently just been falling behind. Let's get it together. Now this shoe is dropping on September 22nd in the United States for $170. It already dropped in other areas of the world. Of course, in South Korea, it dropped on September 9th, Sneakers Day, in that region of the world. I believe other parts of Asia also got it on the same day. So I don't know if it was like South Korea only, like literally only South Korea in Asia got this shoe on that day. But in the United States, expect to get this shoe on September 22nd. $170, it is slightly more expensive than a general release Air Max 1 Big Bubble. Usually they go for $150 or $160. This one, $170, nearly the same price as a Jordan 1. And I'll have more to say on materials later, but I think given that it's a special release, the materials used on the shoe are slightly more unique. Maybe justified. I don't like paying more than I have to for shoes, but you can make an argument that it deserves a higher price point than other Air Max 1s. And the upsole of the shoe does come with a hemp base layer with this woven textiles as the overlays and leather on the mudguard all the way around to the heel counter. Now, as someone that doesn't really love that hemp material, I just feel like when dust or dirt gets in between, it's very stubborn, it's hard to clean, it looks dirty. But I will say, hemp is more sustainable, it is generally more durable. This shoe, this material on the base layer, it is very soft. It feels nice, it doesn't come very stiff. Feels just like you're wearing any other general release Air Max 1. As for that woven textile material, again, I don't really love how that looks. I just love leather, I think leather is king. But if I'm being objective, it achieves exactly what this shoe wants to achieve. And that's to come off with a more artisanal, handcrafted aesthetic. And the quality of that textile material, it looks very well put together. I think if you're into that look, you're gonna like this shoe. As for the leather, the tumbled leather on the shoe, it's tumbled leather. I'm not gonna say it's like super premium, but it feels nice, it looks nice, it feels soft. The swoosh also comes in that leather. It's nice leather. So overall, the materials, even though it's not personally like my favorite, and that's just a personal bias, personal preference, but generally, the materials on the shoe, very nice. And for $170 for an Air Max 1, that had better be nice. And obviously you'll see that black outline on the mid panels and overlays. I don't know, because I can't find a definitive answer online or Nike.com. They never really fully describe the inspiration behind each of their shoes. But if you know anything about like Korean design, Korean patterns, Korean architectural design, if you just search those terms on Google, you'll see very bold black outlines in a lot of their patterns. And I wonder if Nike took inspiration from that. Wouldn't be surprised, but again, can't find definitive answers. I'm not Korean myself, but I am familiar with that pattern. So if you're Korean and you know for sure, definitely comment below, let me know. But if I had to guess, I think that's the inspiration. And you'll see stitching in between the bold black outlines. It's very intricate. And like other Big Bubbles, you'll see the size of your shoe printed on the ankle collar. Now the tongue of the shoe is different than like a standard Big Bubble. It has the standard Nike Air Max branding, but right under it, stitched, is the letters WM, standing for World Make. So W in that white stitching, M in that black stitching. And moving onto the inside of the shoe, you'll see in this cork or kind of wooden aesthetic. On one shoe, it says the words, designed for sport, crafted for life, World Make. And again, you'll see that World Make logo and the letters KOR standing for Korea, obviously. And on the other insole, a very similar World Make aesthetic. I just love how that looks. Another thing that I liked is the very subtle Nike Air branding on the heel. It's also stitched. Maybe they could have gone with a black Nike Air to make it pop a little bit more, but I kind of like how subtle that looks and how it just kind of blends into the rest of the shoe. The MX-1 Big Bubble comes with a polyurethane midsole, obviously with a larger Nike Air visible unit on the heel. And this midsole is that Phantom Sail off-white color. Usually I complain about that, but I think along with the upper sole, I think it blends in really well, so I kind of welcome that color. Generally, I like white midsoles over anything else, but on this shoe, I think it fits perfectly. And if you didn't know the story about the Big Bubbles in 1986, this was how the MX-1 was supposed to look, with the Nike Air larger visible unit on the heel. However, Nike quickly found out, in cold weather especially, that the midsole would crack very easily around that Nike Air unit, so they had to retool, change up the specs. In 1987, re-released the MX-1, which is how you're used to seeing it now. So the modern day MX-1 with a smaller bubble, because there were some issues with the big one. And again, according to Nike, they had to use 1 out of 300,000 original pairs of big bubbles and put it through a CT scan so they could design and make this shoe in 2023 as close to the original tech specs as possible. And the designer of this legendary shoe was Tinker Hatfield. He obviously designed a bunch of Jordan brand shoes, probably the most prominent, probably the most famous sneaker designer ever. Arguable, but he's definitely right up there. He took inspiration from a French building in Paris called the Centre Pompidou. That building, you could see right into the building. So he thought, why not make the Nike Air unit visible? At the time, this technology was still pretty new, it was game changing. So he wanted to showcase it, and the rest is history. Now, apart from the big bubble, the midsole of the shoe also looks slightly different than like a general release MX-1 that you see nowadays. The line that meets where the Nike Air unit is, slightly different pattern, slightly different look. Comparing the big bubbles to like modern day MX-1s, I honestly can't choose which one I would prefer. I think it's totally up to the colorway. If it's a nice colorway, doesn't matter if it's big bubble, small bubble, I like it nonetheless. And of course the iconic waffle design on the outsole. This is just one solid black color for this shoe. And this outsole, nothing more to say. It's iconic, it's one of the best. Nothing needs to be changed on this outsole. And this shoe doesn't come with any extra laces. I would have expected an extra set of laces for an MX-1 that's going for $170. It's more expensive than a general release MX-1. But nope, you get that default sail off-white colored laces. I think it looks nice, but I think black laces would really look nice on the shoe also. I might actually swap it out in the end, but default laces doesn't look too bad. Now I do have to mention, on general release MX-1 Big Bubbles, like the OG colorway, the laces on those are like super thin. And I mean like the depth of the laces. It's like very, very thin and flimsy. Feels kind of cheap, like they could break if you pull too hard. This one, the laces on this, feels thicker, feels high quality, feels more durable, so I like that. But I don't know why for other big bubbles, they cheap out sometimes. Just don't get it. Better laces can't be that much more expensive. And the box of the shoe, a pretty standard MX-1 Big Bubble box, made to look kind of vintage and pre-aged. But on the inside of the box, not very standard. It's got that special World Make paper. Again, the words, designed for sport, crafted for life, World Make. Now moving on to size and comfort, I'm a size 9.5, true to size. I have wide feet, so for MX-1s, I generally go up half a size. The MX-1 is a more slender and thinner silhouette, so when I go true to size for MX-1s, I just feel around the toe box as well as the arch of the shoe a little bit too tight for my liking, so I go up half a size in the shoe. That tends to fit me perfectly. In terms of the cushioning and comfort, despite this being a very old shoe with pretty old and ancient technology, I think it's a pretty comfortable shoe. It's definitely better than like an Air Force One, a Nike Dunk Low, which came out around the same time as this shoe. Yeah, I could walk a whole day in an MX-1, no problem. Polyurethane midsole, more responsive, lighter than like a rubber midsole, so that's definitely a win there. It's not like super flat that you might feel on basketball shoes or more kind of training oriented shoes. So the cushioning is decent, not too soft, don't like too soft. I feel like it finds a pretty good balance. The ankle collar, maybe slightly thin for some people compared to shoes like the Jordan 5s, Jordan 2s. Definitely thinner than those around the inside, but not a huge problem, especially if you're wearing thick enough socks. And that brings the total sole score of the Air Max 1 World Make Korea to 19 out of 25. Now I think the colorway of the shoe, it's super simple. The black kind of makes the shoe pop in certain places. I really like the colorway on the shoe. Subtle, muted, goes under the radar, still makes kind of a statement. That's exactly the criteria that I want and need. I think the colorway is super nice. Not perfect. I think there's better colorways like the Chicago colorway. That's like legendary, unbeatable. But the colors on this shoe, yeah, very nice. Nice and simple. In terms of materials, again, putting my personal bias aside towards leather, the materials on the shoe are nice. It achieves exactly what the shoe is trying to achieve. Gives off that crafted, handcrafted, artisanal look. And I feel like that woven textile on the overlays, it just feels very solid. It's like well put together. And the tumbled leather, everyone likes tumbled leather. Doesn't mean it's the best leather, but does feel nice and soft. Does look nice. So the materials on the shoe generally very nice. In terms of the comfort, like I said before, the MX-1, especially considering the age, it is a comfortable shoe. It's more comfortable than shoes that released around the same time. Not as comfortable as like modern day shoes or like Jordan 13s or 14s or even the Jordan 5s. But still, for casual use, everyday wear, comfortable shoe. Not too much to complain about. In terms of versatility, of course, the MX-1, one of the most versatile silhouettes ever. It has lasted this long for a reason. Personally, it's my favorite MX out of all the MXs. I believe it's probably it's the only MX that I've ever reviewed. And this really just in general, the only MX that I go after. And that's for good reason. I think this is super wearable. The colors on the shoe, again, very subtle, black, a very standard color. Very, very wearable, super versatile, goes with so many different things. And in terms of the storytelling, I think the storytelling on the special release, it's very nice. From the insoles to the box to the modifications on the tongue, yeah, it comes together nicely. And like I said before, the bold black outlines, even though I can't find a definitive answer on Nike.com, I do believe that's inspired by like Korean patterns and Korean design, which obviously fits this shoe perfectly. One of my favorite things about sneaker culture is the regional exclusives. You kind of learn about a different culture and different part of the world through this stupid hobby of collecting sneakers. And even though regional exclusives kind of don't really exist now, borders are pretty much limitless with the internet. You can buy shoes anywhere you want pretty much through the internet. But the idea of it, I still really like. And this shoe, even though it's a world made Korea, Sneakers is releasing it in the United States anyway, but the fact that it's paying homage to a different area of the world, especially on my favorite MX, which is the MX-1, yeah, really, really like this shoe. So that's it. Thanks for watching. Soul Inclined. Let me know what you think of the MX-1 86 Big Bubble World Make Korea. Like, subscribe, comment, all that good stuff. And remember, tomorrow may never come, so wear your shoes.